So I've bumped into this book in my local bookstore and it was absolute bargain, and that's why I decided to show it on the channel. So that's a hardcover book, pretty substantial, a lot of pages, and it's called Wristwatches, and it's by Gilbert, Brunner and Christian Belli, something like this. Hopefully I didn't butcher their names too much. So a few things made me quite strong impression in the book. One is the photographs. It's a lot of photographs, for which I'll come back later on. And the other thing is the plethora of watch brands which they have covered here. So these are brands that are existing in the current times, and also some brands that were significantly, historically important, but are no longer at the operational. So here all the watch brands that they have, and on the right hand side they have articles on watch topics such as the tourbillon, automatic winding, time signals, the chronograph, things like this. And they also have one special article which is called Curiosity. I'll come back later on to this one. So the way they've organized the content is in 3 languages. So you have English, German and French. Sorry, English, German and French. And probably that's why the book is so thick. But nevertheless, it's not a problem. It's a nice, book to have a look at when you're reading, when you're having your coffee or whatever. So what we see now is one of the first articles. As you can see, they have some photographs, which are pretty good. Most of the book is filled in with photographs which are of good quality. And once the article is done, they get right into the watch brands. So the way they've organized the watch brand content is it's alphabetical order, obviously. So they have a short history of the watch brand, and they also show some of their models throughout the years. Underneath every model you have a number, and corresponding to the number you have a description of the movement of the year, what was the size of the caliber. They don't give you the exact watch reference, which I would have liked to see, but it doesn't matter. They give you sufficient information so that should you want to find additional information, you could, based on what they've provided here. And depending on the watch brand, you see some brands are covered just by 2 pages. Some of the more significant brands are covered by many pages. A lot of photographs, a lot of details, a lot of content. And I'm having this book for a couple of weeks now, reading here and there. I'm not reading it from start to finish, but it made me think a lot about the watch industry, because very often while browsing the book I would come up to a watch that is absolutely spectacular in terms of the innovation and in terms of the design, and then I see that it's been produced in 1940, for example, but it's been lost in recent times. Nobody's doing it. Maybe it didn't sell that well back then. And you realize that some of these brands, they've been through so many designs throughout the years. They've tried so many things, so many innovations they've done in the past, but now what we get is more or less streamlined production, dive watches, chronograph, this and that. But when you browse this book, you find out about complications that are really cool, but we don't get to see nowadays. Yeah, that's the Breitling article. So allow me to show you a couple of examples that really made me, question some of the things that are happening in the watch industry at the moment. So for example, this is Gerald Perregaux article. Hanhart, their watches look exactly the same even nowadays. Yeah, that's a watch from JLC. I didn't know that it existed. So it's a chronograph without any pushers. To activate the chronograph, you press the crystal, which I find it to be very cool. Also, let me see, Johans Langenson. Okay. One thing that I want to show is Movado. So Movado is normally a watch brand that I completely dismiss in the okay, maybe I should not say dismiss, but I'm normally not interested in the old models, new models, whatever. But I was reading a little bit about their history here, and it made me appreciate their contributions and their rich history. Actually, it was a brand with a pretty rich history. And as you can see, throughout the years, they've had some pretty cool designs, to which I think if we had a reissues, they would have been successful. Yeah, this seems familiar to me. I've seen it as an innovation on some of the Kickstarters, but actually it existed in 1931. Yeah, that one here. So, for example, this thing. Does it look familiar to you? I think it's very close to Reverso, to GLC Reverso, and this is actually Movado Reverso that existed in, guess which year, 1939. It had a dual display, so on one side you have the time, only display, time in seconds, and on the other side you had the specialized or dedicated chronograph display. It also had a square movement, and then you question who was first. Was it Movado or was it JLC? I'm not sure yet. I need to check in the book who was first actually, but then when you see a design like this, which is essentially the Reverso that we know from JLC, then you realize that okay, maybe it's not so special, or maybe this innovation was available a long time ago from other brands as well. So a lot of things this book will make you think about in terms of the history of the watches. I forgot to mention that the book was printed in 2015, so don't expect to see the latest models, but up to 2015 they've provided here and there some examples. So yeah, an article about chronographs. I've read about it, and it's a good starting point if you want to know how the chronograph works. They show the main parts of the movement that are essential for the chronograph. They also have some more detailed pictures, but I think it's a good book, especially for the price, especially if you could get it for 20 euro or 23 USD, which I paid for. I will leave a link in the description below. This is an unaffiliate link to Amazon, so you can check if it's available. I did see that it's being sold a couple of second-hand copies for this price, but new one costs more. I would say if you can find it for 20 bucks or so, get it, because it gives a very nice overview of the whole watch industry and brands that have been significant in the past and that are significant nowadays. Yeah, we have Rolex. It's a comprehensive article about Rolex. As you can see, it's not 2 pages, but you could see a lot of their historical models. And then you see all the additional information, some of their marketing materials from the past. Yeah, did you know that Rolex had dials like this? I certainly didn't know that they had watches like this. How much would a Rolex like this cost now? I'm not sure. When was that? In the 1950s? Yeah. It's pretty interesting stuff. You could find out about the brands that you like or that you love. Another thing that I wanted to show you is yeah, Let me see what is here. Nope. That's Zenith. But yeah, here they have an article about this article that I mentioned in the beginning, Curiosa. So a couple of examples here. That is a watch produced by a brand that I cannot even pronounce, but it was designed in 1931, I believe, according to the description here. And what they offered as a service is that this letter M, it could be any letter that you want. While the design is not completely unique to the current market. We have seen watches that are similar to this, but they offer to have a unique letter or unique name even written here. And I question, where are those services now when we have so much advanced machinery and technologies and computer programs to design, etc. Why are we not having this customization available now? Another example would be those three watches here. So these are manually wind watches according to the description, and they were produced between the First World War and 1930s. So they were predating the automatic watch, the automatic winding watch. And guess what? All three of them are 8 days power reserve. So the technology was available a century ago. And think about how rare it is now when we have these advanced materials, we have these advanced computer systems to design machinery, to produce machinery, much more advanced technology in general. And think about how much would it cost to buy an 8-day power reserve watch from GLC, from Panerai, or whichever brand you want, even if it's a micro brand or whatever. Anything that is 8 days is extremely expensive. But the technology was there even a century ago, and it continues to be a rare thing. So it really makes me question about the pace in which this industry goes, because when you see this in 1930s, they were available, and you still cannot get them at a acceptable price. I think it's gives you a few questions. Let me know if you have any questions about the books. I'll try to answer them in the description below. Also, let me know which is your favorite books in wristwatches. That's I don't have many books in wristwatches, so I'd like to know which is your favorite, and would probably get it as well. And also let me know if you like book reviews. I'll try to do some more. Yeah. The book finishes with some examples of Russian horology. Yeah. Okay. Drop your comments down in the description, and see you next time.